Hi there, I'm Milo Sipka, and this is the Apatros Review. Now this is the second of a series of reviews where I revisit the Monogram 9, that infamous series of ultra-cheap Poverty Row horror thrillers and a couple of comedies that Bela Lugosi did as a 9-picture deal with Monogram, the cheapest of the Poverty Row studios in the 1940s, after producer Sam Katzman signed him on following the 1939 The Dark Eyes of London Edgar Wallace adaptation, which Monogram had a distribution deal with. They didn't make that film. Now these films ran from 1941 to 1944. I've decided to review these films each separately, as it's easier for fans to look up these films and also to go a little bit more in depth on each film. So let's start, shall we? So in this episode we take a look at the second film of the series, Spooks Run Wild. This was actually the first of two comedies the series had, both with the East Side Kids. And this was directed by Phil Rosen, who also directed quite a few other films in the series, and written by Carl Foreman and Charles R. Marion, and with additional dialogue by Jack Henley. The producer was Sam Katzman. And the cast includes Bela Lugosi, Leo Gorcey, Bobby Jordan, Hans Hall, Ernest Morrison, Donald Haynes, David Gorcey, Angela Rosito, Dorothy Short, and Dennis Moore. And the film premiered in the United States on the 24th of October 1941. Now in this second entry in Monogram 9, Bela Lugosi makes the first of two team-ups with the juvenile delinquents originally known as the Dead End Kids, then renamed the East Side Kids, then finally the Bowery Boys as the gang got a heck of a lot older during the 1950s. This group had been in films from the 30s up until the 1950s, and they made quite a lot of films. They were one of the longest-running comedy performers in film. At this point in time, in the early 40s, they were in their East Side Kids persona, led by Leo Gorcey, who clearly had full control over the gang's antics as Muggs McGuinness, the Irish hood whose accent is so strong that you can use it to smash someone's head in. Despite being top-billed, Lugosi is only here in a peripheral role, a sort of guest star appearance as it may, as a magician named Nardo, accompanied by a dwarf sidekick, played by legendary dwarf actor Angelo Rosito, whose long career spanned from the silent era, with films like The Beloved Rogue, to his last role in 1985 in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome as the Master, and making his way to a small town where he makes his new home in a supposedly haunted mansion. At the same time, a mysterious killer, branded the Monster Killer, man, the media sure knows how to sling demeaning nicknames onto those professionals at separating people from their lives, has arrived in the same small town to commit more ghastly murders, and has discovered Nardo's presence, the knowledge of which he uses to string along a rather daft-minded local townsperson by making him think he himself is a hero in a drugstore horror paperback novel so he can have somebody run interference for his activities. Finally, we have the East Side Kids, who have been sent from the Bowery streets to a local youth camp for a vacation, quickly making a break from the camp to explore the local spook house, the same spook house Nardo and the Monster Killer are stalking each other in. They make a detour for a graveyard, where the caretaker takes a shot at them with his trusty 12-gauge boomstick. With one of their number wounded, they finally arrive at the spook house to recover. Nardo encounters them, gives them shelter, and patches up the injured delinquent. And the rest of the short film was basically the East Side Kids exploring the mansion, suspecting Nardo as a monster killer, and only realizing his innocence in the climax, where they team up with Nardo to finally catch the monster killer, right before he can kill a local woman. And the success leading them to celebrate by having Nardo perform a magic show with rather funny results. As somebody who has a rare ability to enjoy films made from just about any decade in film history, I have films in my collection spanning from 1920 to 2021, it's about a century, and I can appreciate an early days silent film just as much as a good film from these days. Although these woke-era turkeys filling the cinemas right at the moment are kind of hard to enjoy given their crappy message. Despite Spooks Run Wild being a rather stupid movie, filled with Seinfeld type of content, in other words a show about nothing, I found the dumb humor enjoyable. Although this isn't exactly a solid film, just a passable one. Although you need to understand the historical context of these Monogram movies at the time and the culture of the era to really enjoy this. It is enjoyable, but it's passable at best, but you really need to know the era it was made to really enjoy it, with some daft but funny carnival spook house gags. So that being said, Spooks Run Wild gets a C+, 5 out of 10 from me. It's a passable bit of East Side Kids schlock, with serving Bela Lugosi on the side. Now there's no gore and nudity in this film, remember the time this was made in. And this film is currently in public domain, so you'll be able to find copies on all VHS tapes, cheap public domain bargain basement operated DVDs, internet download sites, be careful of some of those, and on YouTube, so go ahead and look it up. And by the way, the second time the East Side Kids teamed up with Bela Lugosi is a pretty infamous film for a certain reason. When the time comes, I'll explain that to you. Anyway, so Spooks from August is a C+, 5 out of 10. It's passable. But like I said, you really need to understand the context of the time. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm going to continue on with the Monogram 9, and hope you guys enjoying yourselves. And by the way, I don't do requests, but if you have any questions about DVDs or films in general, just hit me up in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer. You guys are staying safe, and take it easy, and see ya.